Good afternoon, the internet. So there's a thing I've been wanting to say for a while. Sketched it up, forgot about it. A friend of mine tweeted about it, and I remembered I really have to say this. So about groomers, the word. Um, Two things about it. One is psychological, one is philosophical. Philosophy first. In postmodernism, there's an idea of a simulacrum, which is when somebody says something or there's a meme that refers to something that doesn't exist. Groomers, critical race theory, and if you remember from 5 years, 6 years back, the immigrant caravans. These are all simulacrum. What you hear about when people call or start using the word groomer, what they mean and what the word used to mean aren't the same. They're using that word in a weaponized way to refer to, effectively, if you're teaching tolerance to children, they're going to call you a groomer. But because that word used to mean a sexual predator, and they'll tell you that's what they mean, it creates this confusion on a couple of levels. So the people using it don't really know. The people who came up with it probably do. It has just enough, the usage has just enough grounding in something really bad in the real world that it picks up the valence of that badness, and it picks up enough in like sort of intellectual integrity that people on the left will explain to you what a groomer is, which violently misses the point of the way that people are using it. They're using it as a slur, basically means trans person lover, right? Or like LGBTQ plus lover. Like they want you to, they want those, if you support queer people, they think you're bad. And they're going to use this word that has it had a meaning that they almost mean, but that's not what's going on. They've taken an idea and a word that refers to that idea, and now they've used that word again, one layer up, that doesn't really refer to any real thing, right? Because there's no such thing as a school teacher trying to convert people to trans. Like there's no such thing. And so the word refers to a fiction. It refers to, and that's what makes it a simulacrum. It's like the copy of a copy of a copy. And in there were real things and there are fake things, and some of them are it's a mess. It's really clever. And they did the same thing with critical race theory. CRT is a real thing. It's a graduate legal theory, a legal theory they teach you in graduate school sometimes, not usually, apparently. But like, they were like, yeah, this is what they're doing in schools. And so what do they mean? They mean some awful, you believe in teaching children the history of America as it relates to race. You awful, awful person, you. And so it's, again, there's a real thing. There's a word that refers to that real thing. And then they've reused the word to refer to something that doesn't really exist, right? Because there is basically no such thing as a teacher out there who's teaching grade school, either graduate legal theory, because that's definitely not happening. Teaching kids is hard. Teaching them that is, I don't even know what that would be. But there's basically nobody out there doing the thing that they've made up either, which is like teaching white kids to hate themselves. Also fake. So again, there's a real thing, there's a word, they've reused the word to refer to a related fictional thing, and then the people on the left explain to you what the real thing is, which reduplicates the negativity that they had been hoping to create by reusing the word. When what the people on the left should be telling you is this, that they're making up slurs out of real words. It's reappropriation backwards. It's like anti-appropriation. Like, oh, you want to be cool? Well, I'm going to call you a slur. It's the worst. And the immigrant caravans, right? Trump was talking about immigrant caravans. So they're a real thing. People headed north to try to get to a country where their kids will have a better future. Again, just talking about the worst of the worst here, will band together and band together and band together because they're all going in the same direction at the same time on the same road. So they just group up. And it happens every single year. And the way he talked about it was that this is like an invasion. And it's like, there's like 1,500 people headed north to our southern border. Happens every year. And they're just a bunch of like, they're just immigrants, the way that immigrants happen. It's absolutely not at all the thing. So there was a real thing, there's a group of people, there's a word, immigrant caravan, that describes that thing. And then he reused this term to refer to an invading army of brown people, which doesn't exist. So again and again and again, the right wing is much better at this like postmodern fluffery where they just project their base's worst fears out into the world and grab little bits and pieces, little details here and there that almost make sense into a narrative that is just a bunch of slur words. It's just a bunch of like, they're just being terrible. And like the fact that some of those words have real meanings isn't the point. The point is that they're making real words into slurs. So if you're having someone explain to you what critical race theory is, they're inadvertently being played, right? There's nothing, the real story is someone's made up a slur and they anti-appropriated a word for no reason because no one knew what it meant. They grabbed this word that vaguely associates with whatever fear that their base has. And then everybody spins out of control and everybody tweets about it. Makes me crazy. Makes me so mad because there's a real dynamic that's actually interesting going on, and it has nothing to do with how grade school is being taught or what sexual predators do. Those aren't what's going on. What's really going on is this like next level postmodern psychological warfare that's super interesting. Anyway, that's what I want to talk about. Thanks.